I'm Johnna, a former full-time live-in caregiver looking after kids. I've been here in Canada for 6 years. I am a volunteer of Caregiver Action Center. The Caregiver Action Center is a grassroots organization of live-in caregivers, former caregivers, and our supporters. Since 2007, we have been advocating lobbying and fair employment, immigration status, and access to settlement services for live-in caregiver through self-organizing, research, and education. The Caregiver Action Center is an active community of live-in caregivers, supporting each other. We reach out to other caregivers to inform them about their rights at work and support them when the rights have been violated. We organize focus group discussions, roundtables, and information sessions to raise public awareness on issues facing live-in caregivers and the need for change. Our mission is to educate, inform, and inspire caregivers. We envision to work collectively and in unison until all caregivers are treated with respect, fairness, and dignity. I would like to share the story how caregivers get here in Canada to work. To work as a caregiver is very challenging. In a work permit, there are immigration requirements and conditions to follow. In a work permit, we need to work 24 months of live-in caregiver within 4 years. To work with a specific employer that's stated in the work permit. Prohibited from any educational institution and taking any academic professionals or vocational training courses. Not allowed to take courses more than 6 months. Failure to follow these conditions is going to disqualify caregivers to apply permanent residency. Most of the caregivers paid a recruitment fee to be able to work under live-in caregiver. Recruitment agencies are charging 3,000 to 4,000 Canadian dollars in installment basis. First payment for the so-called labor market opinion, and now they called LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment. The second payment will be made upon release of LMO, and final payment upon release of work contract. Some caregivers are victims of release upon arrival. This means that they don't have a job as they were promised, a ghost employer. In 2009, there were caregivers who stood up and exposed those unacceptable practices of recruitment agencies. Different organizations worked together to get the bill passed. March 20 of 2010, Bill 210, Employment Protection for Fire National Act, was implemented. It became illegal for an employer or recruiter to charge a fee for finding a work. It became illegal to confiscate taken possession of documents like passport, health card, and personal documents. It became illegal to penalize caregiver to enforce our rights under the law. We demand to register employers, licensed recruiters, make them jointly financially responsible. It was proven that the people work together for the protection and welfare of caregivers. Changes will happen. We will take the one at Tihada Law as an example. The joint initiative of different organizations resulted in changing requirements in PR application. Second medical was eliminated. Completion of 24 months of live-in caregiver requirements extended to 4 years. As my experience as caregiver inspired me to become a volunteer of Caregivers Action Center. Because we fought, we stood up, and we won. Our organization is composed of current and former caregivers. We're helping caregivers to help themselves. We conduct free legal clinic where caregivers given a chance to talk one-on-one to consult to a lawyer. Caregivers are vulnerable because they're working in a private home. It's difficult to determine compliance with the Employment Standard Act concerning workers' safety, as well as the payment of minimum wage, overtime hours, and vacation pay. Some caregivers were forced to work overtime without pay. Some caregivers start working at 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock in the evening. That is a total of 15 hours a day. Also, some caregivers are receiving monthly salary less than what was written in the contract. Caregivers working with elderly are heavy job that is prone to injuries, back, arm, and hips injuries. Once the caregiver can perform well due to the injury, it serves as a ground of termination, which is not right. We demand migrant workers full access of health care. We demand to cover under Ontario Health Safety Act. Only few caregivers file a complaint in the Ministry of Labor concerning violation of Employment Standard Act and other kinds of abuses. Caregivers prefer to stay quiet because they don't want to penalize or experience a delay completing the 24 months of live-in requirements in permanent residency. We demand to claim a stolen wages after the contract is over. Last July, Jason Kenny mentioned that the media that the live-in caregiver program was run out of control. The live-in caregiver program needs to be reformed. Yes. But the thing is, in this experience of delaying the process of permanent residency, if the caregiver is abused, any one of you can stay in abusive situation of employers? No one, I think. But because the caregiver is so fragile, it's too risky for us to find another employer. Because in this situation, the employer has a power. They can easily tell us that they will deport me. They will deport the caregivers. So in this processing, if you're brave enough, you can go up. But in going out for that employer, you will find another new employer, another processing that makes our papers to delay. It's not only 1 month, but 6 months to 1 year. To counter his statement, Caregivers Action Center launched a campaign on permanent residency on arrival. We're saying that caregiving work is valuable job and deserve permanent residency. Signature campaign was initiated. Statement was issued. Support for allies, churches, and employers was solicited too. Press conference was organized nationwide with the Caregiver Action Center and Migrant. It was held October 9, 2014. It was wide media coverage for permanent residency on arrival. Last October 31, 2014, Live-in Caregiver Program changes were announced by Immigration Minister Alexander. Changes include 2 pathways was created. The child care pathway and the elderly with high medical needs. Live-in requirement become optional. In all the demands of live-in caregiver, the live-in requirements become implemented. Meaning, this is the caregiver is not obliged to live in the employer's house unless both parties is agreed. By doing this, we fought this for how many years? Because they think that the live-in caregiver, if they will stay in their house, they can go out anytime they want because someone staying in their house. Staying in your house, pretending that that caregiver inside your house is not working anymore, or ignoring that caregivers, she's not working anymore. But the thing is, she still look after your kids when you go out at night, looking your loved ones during finish of hours. In that case, we won for this. But changes include also that a cap of 2,750 in each pathway yearly. 2,750 in elderly and child care. A total of 5,500 applicants of caregiver yearly. Now, 4,000 to 8,000 caregivers coming per year. Childcare pathway include the changes of Canadian language benchmark level 5, meaning you have to do English class or language test and pass to level 5. In elderly with high medical needs, unless you are a registered nurse, psychiatric nurse, in which case you have to pass the level 7. In general, these changes will make it difficult for the caregiver to get chance for permanent residence. The chance is limited because of the cap and the qualification. We demand the ability to have a university. We demand the ability to get ESL classes. In this situation, after the caregiver finish their work at least 6 o'clock in the evening, is there any schools offering English class at night time? Is there any time that the caregiver can go out to have these classes that they will avail? This is a challenge. We want to connect with caregivers. We need people to take action. I am encouraging migrant workers or caregivers in this area to get involved. Be part for advocacy work. Let's work together, walk together, and continue to fight for a change. In this part of this hour, I am calling to those who has live-in caregiver back in their house. Because I'm sure any of you knows the employers who has a caregiver. If the employer will push or tell their caregivers, hey, this is your rights. Don't ignore. Employers ignoring the rights of caregivers. because they don't want to pay taxes for the overtime of their caregivers. They don't pay overtime for their caregivers. Be part for advocacy work. Let's work together, walk together, and continue to fight for change. If nobody will do, who gonna do for us? If not now, when?